Open for business, another landmark on the roadmap out of COVID.
So nice to see you back. I've got your favourite table for you.
Restrictions are relaxed in England, Wales and most of Scotland too, as pubs, hugs, restaurants and reunions ease us back into unfamiliar normality.
I'm not scared, but it's certainly strange, you know, after such a long time. You feel a bit lost, you know, and, where am I sort of thing.
There's a hefty dose of caution along the way. Ministers and scientists warning about the rise of the Indian variant. In hotspot Bolton, residents queuing up to get the jab. Sun seekers too, more than willing to wait in line as airports welcome back precious passengers and...
Good give an out one yet?
No.
Oh, you're doing a good job there, Grandad.
Hello, little boy.
3 times the joy. The tiny triplets born in lockdown meet family for the first time.
This is the ITV Evening News with Mary Nightingale.
Good evening. It is the day many of us have waited a long time for. The moment pubs and restaurants can serve indoors again and social distancing guidelines can be relaxed, complete, of course, with hugs. Restrictions have been lifted across England, Wales and most of Scotland in what's the biggest sign yet of a return to normality. And with the UK's vaccine programme advancing all the time, there is hope that this time there may be no turning back. This is the scene in Cardiff right now, where locals are enjoying the pub, like many across Britain. In Dagenham, the bingo is back as casinos and other indoor entertainment venues reopen. And this is Barnsley, where football fans are going to be welcomed back inside the stadium tonight. The Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, said today was a significant step towards recovery, but he did urge vigilance as the Indian variant continues to spread. And we'll have much more on that in a moment. But first, here's Rebecca Barry on a day when many were enjoying the taste of almost forgotten freedoms.
In Hertfordshire, the weather was perfect. Grey and drizzly. Ideal for a pub lunch inside.
Come on in. Yeah.
Well, we've seen you a few times outside.
The first through the door for the first time this year, 91-year-old Evelyn with her daughter.
Mum hasn't been out for probably over a year.
So we've been like a prisoner in your own home.
Do you feel any sense of anxiety?
No, I'm not scared, but it's certainly strange, you know, after such a long time. You feel a bit lost, you know.
It feels really good to be able to meet friends, give them a hug, you know, when you first meet, and yeah, just be indoors, especially now this weather's got a bit colder.
It's great to be back in and not freezing cold and enjoying a proper pint.
For 5 months, people have been denied this simple pleasure. But today's milestone is about more than personal enjoyment. Businesses decimated by lockdowns hope this will mark a turning point.
For those who prefer activity over alcohol, the first indoor group exercise classes. These people in Brixton in South London already feeling the benefits.
It feels amazing, it's really great. We've been waiting for ages for it, so yeah, it feels really good to be back in the sessions.
When you've been locked away for so long, it's not good for your mental health. So to get back to do exercise, it's just brilliant.
Hiya! Hotels, hostels and B&Bs can now reopen. Here at Butlins in Bognor Regis, queues of holidaymakers received a warm welcome.
We've been on a countdown for several weeks with this one, especially for the swimming.
It's just great to be able to get out of the house, be able to bring the kids away, because obviously you feel like they're missing out on so much.
But perhaps the most significant change today, also the simplest. Jake in Sunderland hasn't hugged his grandparents for a year. He's been having treatment for cancer.
Oh yeah.
Hey, my real sunshine. This is the day, isn't it?
Right. Oh, well.
Come on,
yeah.
my
Oh,
darling.
come here, yeah.
Oh, God.
Had to shield up until the end of March this year. and it's great just to be able to get around to being out and able to physically hug them now.
Just absolutely fantastic. It's been so long since we could even touch.
But the government warns we must take this next step with a heavy dose of caution. Rebecca Barry, ITV News.
Well, there is so much that's changed from today across Britain. So here's a quick reminder now, starting with England, where outdoors up to 30 people are now allowed to gather. Indoors, it's 6 people or 2 households. The 2-metre rule for social distancing has gone. Instead, we are being encouraged to exercise caution. Caps on attendance at weddings have increased to 30 people, while funerals are no longer limited at all. And the other big changes include care home residents now allowed up to 5 named visitors, and international travel, where a traffic light system categorises destinations. And rules have also changed in other parts of the country. In mainland Scotland, with the exception of Glasgow and Moray, outdoor gatherings of up to 8 adults from 8 households are allowed, and indoors it's up to 6 people from 3 different households. While in Wales, it's up to 6 people outdoors, 6 people in indoor hospitality, but still no guests allowed inside private homes. OK, well, let's talk now to our correspondents, Louise Scott in Glasgow and Rupert Evelyn in Cardiff. First of all to you, Rupert, how are people enjoying the easing of restrictions? What are they saying?
Well, it's a busy Monday night in the pub here at the Grange in Cardiff. I think the beer is flowing and the general ambience is what people want it to be. It's taken an awfully long time to get to this point, and you sense that everybody is taking full advantage of it. There are restrictions here in Wales. You still can't hug in the same ways that you are allowed to in England and Scotland. Those hugging is extended just to extended households, and the Welsh Government have been quite clear that they want people to restrain any form of international travel. But it feels, finally, after many months, that there is some semblance of normality.
Well, there's still not normal scenes here at Glasgow Airport, despite international travel being possible again. In fact, no green list destination flights to Scottish airports until next Monday. But those in Glasgow and Moray will be more concerned at not being able to leave their local authority boundary. That's because those 2 areas remain under level 3 restrictions because of a spike in cases. For the rest of the country, however, a very happy Monday. More indoor mixing, hugging possible again. And of course, alcohol can be served at indoor hospitality venues until 10:30 in the evening. Other sectors, cinema, theatres, but still no soft play centres, which I'm sure parents will be looking forward to happening again. But for those in Glasgow and Moray, they're really hoping that they can move down to level 2 soon and play catch up to the rest of the country.
OK, Louise Scott in Glasgow, Rupert Evelyn in Cardiff. Thank you both. Well, holidaymakers wasted little time today. Thousands boarded flights to Portugal this morning. Currently, one of the few places, of course, where travel is actually allowed. And businesses there wasted no time in welcoming the tourists back. From the Algarve, our Europe editor James Mates reports on the run to the sun.
Back on board a holiday flight, for some the first time in 2 years.
Oh, so excited.
Who wouldn't be, as the first out of the UK since lockdown eased and the first to escape a miserable May.
Yes.
Cheers as the doors closed. And 2.5 hours later, the first glimpse of the sun-baked beaches of Portugal's Algarve. Until last Friday afternoon, no one had been sure if this belated start to the summer season would ever happen. And they still didn't really believe it until the wheels touched the runway.
Been waiting a long time for it. Been married for 55 years, never left my wife before, and I want to see what it's like.
On arrival, there were checks that everyone had a negative COVID test on top of the new post-Brexit passport control that involves stamping everyone. But all minor inconveniences when the beaches were waiting.
And how long since you last had a break, got away?
2 years.
2 years. Yeah, 2 years. Yeah.
Must be pretty desperate.
Absolutely, can't wait to go there in the sunshine and just chill.
With Portugal not allowing us in until Friday morning, so we were literally on edge until then. But here we are, so we made it.
Hello, welcome to the Algarve. This is a protection kit and offered from Algarve Tourism.
Thank you. A welcome box of mask, hand sanitizer and how to get a COVID test before going home was given to every passenger. There's little doubt the Portuguese, who depend so heavily on tourism, are every bit as excited as the British here today.
We are here because we struggle to be here, to be safe. We adopt preventive measures, and now we are benefiting from that effort.
Already a familiar sound is returning to the bars of the Algarve, while the beaches are filling, though with still plenty of room for more. Can it last all summer? Will other countries soon be opening as well? On that depends all of our prospects of some foreign sun this year.
Now, Portugal, of course, is nothing like big enough to accommodate everyone who wants to go on holiday, but the big destinations, France, Spain, Greece, they're still on the UK's amber list. Now, it had been assumed that when travel restrictions were lifted today, you could still go there if you didn't mind quarantining on the way back. But the government, Matt Hancock, making it a slightly confused message today. Yes, you can go. Yes, it's legal for travel companies to sell holidays, but you shouldn't go there.
OK, James Mates in the Algarve. Thank you. There is, of course, a cloud on the horizon. The Health Secretary revealed today that the Indian variant is continuing to spread across England. Cases have doubled in a week, and more than 80 council areas have now reported more than 5 cases each. Matt Hancock said it's not yet clear just how transmissible the new strain is. And in hotspots like Bolton, people are making sure that they get vaccinated, as Chloe Keedy reports.
You could expect a warm welcome in Bolton today as pubs and restaurants finally opened their doors. But for all the excitement about getting people in, there is also anxiety about keeping the new variant out. The biggest queue in town today was at this pop-up vaccination centre, where people of all ages turned up in the hope of getting their jab. Are you concerned about the spread of the new variant in this area?
Yeah, I am scared of them shutting the schools again.
I've got asthma myself, so I wanted to get it done quite quickly.
It's really important as young people to get vaccinated and ensure that we protect our community.
The Indian variant was first detected in this country just over a month ago, but here in Bolton, it already accounts for more than 80% of cases. Addressing the Commons this afternoon, the Health Secretary Matt Hancock said he'd been heartened to see people queuing for their jab.
Anyone who feels hesitant about getting the vaccine right across the country, just look at what's happening in Bolton Hospital, where the majority of people in hospital with coronavirus were eligible for the jab but have chosen not yet to have the jab and have ended up in hospital, some of them in intensive care. Vaccines save lives.
There was no doubt about that amongst people here today. But with lockdown easing, some experts fear that the government's messages are getting confused.
What are the infection levels like in your area? Are you meeting people that are unvaccinated? Do you live with somebody who's unvaccinated or vulnerable? You have to go think through all of these things, and it does make it very complicated for people.
What is clear is that cases of the new variant are going to go up before they come down, and that the vaccine is the best protection we have against it. Chloe Keedy, ITV News, Bolton.
Well, our health editor Emily Morgan is here. Emily, the Health Secretary very much urging caution today. What are they going to be looking at in terms of figures over the next few weeks?
Well, a number of things. I think, firstly, how quickly this Indian variant spreads. It's almost doubled since Thursday. Scientists know that it's more transmissible than the Kent variant, but what they don't know is how much faster it spreads, and that's absolutely critical. I think the other thing they'll be watching for really closely are these hot spots to see whether the extra vaccinations, whether the surge testing is actually having an effect on slowing the spread of the disease. And the other thing they'll be looking at really, really carefully is whether the rise in cases starts to translate into hospitalisations or whether the vaccine breaks that link. That's absolutely crucial. At the moment, it's too early to tell, but in a couple of weeks' time, we will be able to see whether this variant is causing severe illness in vaccinated people or unvaccinated people. And finally, we'll start to get some data on how effective the vaccines are. Early signs suggest they are effective, but what's critical is whether or how effective they are against severe illness, because that is what's going to put pressure on the NHS.
OK, Emily, thank you. And for details of the guidelines for all parts of the UK, you can head to our website. There it is on screen. Still to come on the programme, the rest of the day's news, plus...
Yeah, we've barely seen anyone. So, yeah, it's nice to have a hug off someone else apart from Jack.
Oh, it is cuddles all around for the miracle triplets born in lockdown. That after the break. Join me then. And welcome back. The United States has called for an end to the violence consuming Israel and Gaza, but so far it appears to have had little effect on the fighting. Rockets were fired from inside Gaza again as Israel launched more deadly airstrikes. The Israeli bombing has claimed the lives of around 200 Palestinians in a week, including many children. Here's our senior international correspondent, John Irvine.
This was our view of the Gaza Strip this afternoon.
Here they come.
A volley of Hamas rockets arced over our heads as they flew towards the Israeli cities of Ashkelon and Ashdod. The bangs are most of them being intercepted. Most, but not all. This is where one of the rockets you've just seen fired from Gaza actually landed, at an apartment building in Ashdod, about 20 miles north of the Strip. Something like 10% of rockets get through the Iron Dome defensive system. 2 people were lightly injured. Early reports that someone was stuck under rubble proved unfounded. In Gaza, this was the frantic effort to save a child who was buried under rubble following the deadliest single Israeli airstrike so far. It happened yesterday. 6-year-old Susie Escantana survived, but her mother and 4 siblings were among the 42 people who did not. As the death toll in Gaza nears 200, the international clamour for this to end is getting louder. So too are the cries from Gaza. This 10-year-old girl has become a symbol on social media. She lost 8 neighbours in an airstrike.
I don't know what to do, I'm just 10.
Today, a team working for ITV News in Gaza tracked the child down to find out how she's coping a couple of days later.
Anytime a bomb can come to us, anytime, you don't know. Every minute, every second, every hour is your future.
Israel's military justifications for the ongoing onslaught are becoming less convincing as the world watches Gazan civilians, including a new generation of children, suffer so much. John Irvine, ITV News, Tel Aviv.
Yeah, the former girlfriend of the Babes in the Woods killer, Russell Bishop, has been found guilty of lying during his trial in 1987. Jennifer Johnson had claimed she'd been acting under duress when she gave evidence more than 30 years ago. But today she was convicted of perjury. Jurors heard she had significantly undermined the original trial, which saw Bishop acquitted. He was finally found guilty in 2018 of murdering Nicola Fellows and Karen Hadaway. Now, detectives are speaking to a number of police officers and civilian staff who accessed case details about the kidnap and murder of Sarah Everard. The Met Police Directorate of Professional Standards is investigating whether or not they were actually allowed to do so. And Sejal Karia is outside Scotland Yard for us now. So, Sejal, what's going on? What's prompted this?
Well, the Metropolitan Police says it's contacting a number of police officers and staff members to find out why they looked into the details of the Sarah Everard case on the police computer system to check whether they did so legitimately. Otherwise, it could be a breach of professional standards or even a criminal offence. Now, Sarah Everard vanished on her walk home in Clapham, South London on the 3rd of March. Her body was discovered a week later in Woodlands in Kent. PC Wayne Couzens has been accused of her kidnap and murder and is due to stand trial in October. The force won't say how many police officers or staff members it's contacting or indeed why this action is being taken. But in a statement, it said the force's internal Directorate of Professional Standards are in the process of contacting those officers and staff. Once all those responses have been received, a decision will be taken as to whether any further action is required.
Okay, Sergio, thank you. And finally tonight, for many people across England, today was the first chance to hug loved ones again. For some, it was a welcome embrace after tough times apart. And for one family and their friends in Worcestershire, it was all about hugging triplets. Stacey Foster reports.
River, Beau and Leo have been storing up their cuddles since they were born in January. Identical triplets who've been keeping mum and dad busy. But finally, now visitors are allowed, plenty of people have come round for a hug.
I do get mixed up with it. I don't know who's who sometimes, do I?
There was also a much-needed hug for new parents Jack and Lauren.
Yeah, they don't feel like they're ever going to be that big.
As their friends came round with some gifts for the new additions.
3 little miracles. It's nice to see them all together and all happy and smiling. I know the mum and dad have been through a lot.
These lot, I think we'll be getting a lot of cuddles off everyone, I think so.
Up until last week, River was still in hospital. He got home just in time for the lifting of lockdown restrictions.
You say 120 days back and forwards to the hospital. And
yeah, we've barely seen anyone. So yeah, it's nice to have a hug off someone else apart from Jack, to be fair. We've got a lot of friends that are desperate to just, for an hour, come and have a cuddle, keep one happy whilst you sort the other one out, or do some washing.
Bring us some food.
Yeah, bring us some food.
For so long, it has been just the 5 of them. But what a relief for Jack and Lauren that at last they're able to take advantage of a few extra pairs of hands. Stacey Foster, ITV News, Bewdley.
And that's it for now. Julie's here with news at 10 from me and all the team. Bye-bye.